Hello to Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District and all of our friends and followers around the country and across Maryland. I'm delighted to be with you for my favorite time of the week, Local Heroes, when we get to salute and recognize the people in our midst who are making life in the 8th District such an extraordinary thing and getting us through the various crises of our time. And this is the first week of September, and this is our special Labor Day episode of Local Hero, and we are going to recognize a hero of the labor movement for our Labor Day episode. So please welcome everybody, my friend Elise Bryant from downtown Silver Spring. Say hello, Elise.
Hello, 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 Jamie. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you, my brother.
I've been looking forward to it like all week, and one of the great things about this is I've gotten to learn so much more about you than even I knew from before. I knew, of course, that you are a labor educator and you are a creative arts and musical visionary, and you are the motivating and organizing force and voice of the DC Labor Chorus, which is so remarkable. And you run the Labor Heritage Foundation. I knew about all that stuff. I didn't know you were also a playwright who has written all of these exceptionally well-reviewed plays. I didn't know you'd written a labor jazz opera, Love Songs from the Liberation Wars. I knew that you consulted to figure out how the labor movement can keep alive the extraordinary artistic and creative legacy of labor struggle. I didn't know that you're a member of the Wobblies, the Industrial Workers of the World, which is incredible. I didn't know you were in the National Writers Union, which my mom was once the president of. But I did know that you are president of the Coalition of Labor Union Women. So you're a born organizer, and you're a born musician, you're a born singer, you're a born creative force. And it's such a delight to be able to recognize you. So let's start with this. Congratulations on being our local hero for this Labor Day 2021.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am indeed honored. And I attribute all those things you said about me to the fact that I was born in Detroit in the Motown era. So, singing, making music, doing theater. We were putting the blanket on the clothesline in the backyard when I was 7 years old.
Well, you were born in Detroit, and it obviously made its imprint on you, but you are of Silver Spring now, and you are Maryland's very own. And so I want to start with this. It was very sad that we lost Rich Trumka recently, and I wonder, to what extent he was someone who appreciated the kind of stuff that you were doing and have been doing with the Labor Heritage Foundation on the culture, the arts, the music of the labor struggles.
I have to say that President Rich Trumka was one of my heroes for sure. And I remember during the strike, the Pittston strike, when he stood up in front of the country and fought for the coal miners that he was representing. He opened his door to me. Before I had a title, like president of the Coalition of Labor Union Women, I could get an appointment with Rich Trumka. And when we were getting ready to do this musical called Working in DC, based on Stud Terkel's book, Working, I called him up and got an appointment and said, Brother Trumka, we would like to do this play in musical in front of the AFL-CIO. He goes, okay, yes. I was like, yes. And that was it. And he said, well, could you put something in about the PRO Act? And I said, oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah, sure we could. He goes, no, it doesn't matter. I would say yes anyway. And that was it. So we're doing the show, opening on Labor Day on Black Lives Matter Plaza, thanks to Rich Trumka.
Okay, let's hear all about it, because I know it's rooted in Studs Terkel's book. I can't even remember what year he wrote that. Was it back in the 1960s?
I remember either.
It was like the 70s or 80s. But it was a series of like in-depth interviews just with working people about their working lives and, how they made everything work, basically. And so you've spun this off into a musical about working in our area. Is that right?
It was already a musical before I got to it.
Yeah.
And this activist actress about town named Shannara Gabriel came to me. She's a member of Actors Equity. And she said, I have this idea of doing a restaging of Working, the musical, which James Taylor wrote music for. Lin-Manuel did a recent production of it. And she said, I want to do it outside and move it from different labor landmarks. But Chris Garlock of the Central Labor Council, you know, Chris, cultural activist, said, no, that's probably not a good idea. First of all, our audience is too old for that. And her technical director said, and it's going to cost a lot. So she said, well, we're going to end up at the AFL-CIO. And they both said, well, just do it at the AFL-CIO. Do it outside at the AFL-CIO and we can handle it. So I thank Shannara for bringing the idea to us. And Labor Heritage Foundation said, yes, let's do it.
Well, I've got to check that out. So people can still get tickets, right?
Yes,
still
yes.
Get
Oh,
tickets.
yes.
It's opening on Monday. And so there will be outdoor seating?
Yes.
And how many people can be seated?
I have not the slightest idea.
Well, and has this ever happened before, or is this like a whole?
No, it's never happened before. There's never been anything like this in front of the AFL-CIO headquarters.
Well, what a perfect reflection of your career, because you specialize in making things happen that never happened before, including getting me to become a songwriter. I got to tell all of the Elise Bryant fans out there that she called me up one day and she said, well, because I write all of these great chants for our demonstrations and marches, she thought that I should actually try to put pen to paper and write a new song for Maryland, because, you know, we've been trying to get rid of our old racist pro-Confederate songs for more than a decade unsuccessfully. And Elise said, we need a real song at least to kick it off. And so, I did that with Steve Jones, who is the musical director of the DC Labor Chorus and a professor of music at the Washington Venice University. And I just wanted to thank you so much for making me do that and inspiring me to open up a whole new little compartment in my brain. So thank you, dear Elise.
Thank you, Jamie.
You are such a force for change in our community. Tell us, what your experience, if you don't mind reflecting a little bit, of the Trump years was, and then now what it's like in the Biden years coming out of that, and where you see us going politically and culturally in the future.
Well, it was fascinating because as a DC Labor Chorus, our number of performances tripled, quadrupled during the Trump years. I mean, like from day one, it was like everywhere. And of course, we got to be at the rallies that you organized in downtown Silver Spring at the People's Plaza of Silver Spring, and got to be there. And it was just amazing. I mean, the shutdown of the federal government, we were there and we were creating songs and being fully present. And it was a remarkable time, because despite or because of the racism and sexism and homophobia and xenophobia that poured out of that White House in those years, there was much more creativity. I mean, we're going to document with the Labor Heritage Foundation the kind of creativity that sprang up, and it was inspired by, the need to counter this incredibly backwards thinking, racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic culture that was manifest in that White House.
Well, and that really takes me back to the Women's March. And of course, you guys were all over that too, as well as the government shutdown. I think there was an article even about you guys where I got quoted as calling you the musical arm of the resistance.
Oh, yeah.
And you really did become that for certainly our region, if not for the whole nation. Someone just told me about a new book that's been released called Not My President, which just documents the different movements that you're talking about. And so it was an incredibly fertile, creative period. Now we're living, that we're still going through so many crises, including still COVID-19 and the crisis of Afghanistan and the debacle of the exit from Afghanistan and so on. So it's a very tough time. But on the other hand, we have been able to pass a lot of legislation that is reflective of the kind of things you've been fighting for. I mean, a lot of New Deal kinds of stuff, a lot of Green New Deal kind of stuff. And so I want to thank you.
And speaking of hero, your leading of the impeachment was just and people were calling me from around the country and going, your guy, Jamie Raskin, he's so good. My sister's going, wow, you're Jamie Raskin. He's really good. I was like, yes. And in the midst of your own grief and mourning you held up literally the bloodstained banner of democracy and justice and said, no, this is wrong, and we will do our best to make it right.
Well,
So
thank you, Elise. That means a
thank
lot to me. Technically, you're not allowed to do that on Local
Oh.
Hero, but I accept it from you because, well, just because you are my sister. So thank you for everything extraordinary you've done. Tell us, how long is the new Working in DC show going to be going?
It's the next 3 weekends.
Yeah.
We're opening. We have a pre-show on Sunday the 5th, and then official opening on Labor Day, Monday the 6th. And then we run that next weekend and the following weekend, and I think we close on the 19th.
Well, it sounds awesome. And I'm going to get in touch with the AFL-CIO so I can get my tickets. And Elise, thank you for all of the extraordinary contributions you make politically, artistically, musically, creatively to our community. You are a beloved and dynamic force in our community, and it is my great honor to recognize you as our local hero this Labor Day week.
I'm honored to be in the district you do represent. Thank you. Oh, wait, one more thing. I forgot. They divide us by our color. They divide us by our tongue. They divide us men and women. They divide us old and young. But they tremble at our voices when they hear these verses sung. For the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Thank you.
Solidarity forever. Thank you. And thank you for your beautiful voice, Elise.
You're welcome.